All right, happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to Stack's Q1 product webinar. My name is Brian Steiner. I lead the product management organization and will help facilitate the discussion today with the team of Allison, Ryan, David, and Miles. We'll start with this session with Allison, who will share what we've recently released with Build and Operate, and then show the exciting journey we're on in Q2 to provide meaningful connection between takeoff and estimate and Build and Operate. Then we'll shift to takeoff and estimate and integrations, where Ryan, David, and Miles will demo what was released in Q1 and give us a sneak peek into what's coming in Q2. And finally, with the time remaining, we'll open the chat to Q&A. So be thinking about the questions you want to ask at the end of this session. Before I hand it off, just a quick tip. If you need to make the webinar full screen, hover over the screen and select the maximize icon in the top left. All right, Allison, it's all yours.
Hey everybody, let's talk first about what we've recently released in Build and Operate. So I'm going to start with a catch-up item. So in workflows towards the end of the year, we released the ability to attach individual files to workflow items. This includes 40 different file types. A lot of information can now be attached to those individual shop drawings, submittals, PCOs, COs. You can see a lot of examples here on the right side of the screen of different types of things you can attach. Anybody on the project team who has access to those workflow items can attach those items. So this opens it up to the whole project team. One thing I want to make mention of is the last item on the list is especially important. If you have any company forms, fillable forms that you fill out, you can save them to your devices and then upload them to an individual workflow item. So this is a great way to keep track of things like safety checklists or other custom documentation that you've developed. Okay, next up, I want to talk about organizing your project information. So this is imminent. This part of this has been released, and more of it will be released either later this week or early next week. So this is in project documents in Build and Operate. And for those of you that use Build and Operate, you know this is kind of your standard location for most of your project documentation. So first, over to the left there, you can see that we've started supporting the ability to import directly from things like Box, Dropbox, Google Drive. So if you standardized as a company around one of those locations for documentation, you can now upload directly instead of down to your computer and then back up to Build and Operate. And then the bigger piece of this is what you can kind of see on the right there, which is, again, supporting more file types in another Build and Operate location. And this is in that kind of full document directory. So what this does is it allows you to use Build and Operate as your kind of one-stop shop for all of your project documents. In the past, we used to just support PDFs, which was kind of our main reason for being, was to be able to mark up and collaborate on plans. But now we're opening that up so that you can upload all sorts of other file types that you might need for your project. Things like Office files, image, video, zip files, design files, scheduling files, things like that are now going to be supported. This third slide, I want to talk to you a little bit about something that we've made available to our customer support team, and that is the ability to move or copy projects during different transitions. So on the left and in the middle, you can kind of see company transitions. If your company has made an acquisition or there's been a split or a separation, we can now support that by moving those projects, the correct projects, to the right orgs. And then the last one's especially important as well. So facilities transferring, this facilitates, transferring your final project to your owner at the end of the project. So if you want to hand over a very detailed project record to your owner, you can simply copy it to their organization, and they'll have basically a copy of everything that you have. I want to be very succinct, make sure that everybody knows that this is not a sync kind of a situation. If you do that, instead it's simply a one-time copy, and at that point your owner would have all of your information. Next up, I want to talk about what's next. So I kind of limited my first part of the presentation because I wanted to focus on this. This is really exciting for us. I know there are a lot of estimators on this call, so I would love to get your feedback on some of this as well. So for those of you using both products today, you know there's a way that we can move documents from takeoff and estimate to build and operate. Um, Today we burn in that information and we send it over as kind of a set of plans. Um, and coming up later this year, we're going to be greatly enhancing this data transfer. So some of you have spent time with Christina and I. We really appreciate the time if you have to be able to talk through the prototypes, talk through your handoff procedures. Um, and what we're going to be doing is using that information. We're going to be transferring more information, and it's easier to get to the information as well. So what this is going to do, you guys spend so much time during the estimation phase of a project to figure out what goes where. And in many cases, you even include things like assembly information. All of that is very valuable to your field team. And so what we're going to do is make it easier for you to hand that off and kind of kickstart that process in the field. So what I'm going to do is show you kind of a prototype of what we're working on. We will be kicking the development on this off very shortly, but right now these are just images. So I'm going to start with, this is our normal upload process. It's pretty straightforward. The button in the upper right is where you upload. Today you select Stack and then you log in. We're going to be enhancing this so that you'll only need to log in once per project or perhaps once overall. We're still working on that. Once you've logged in, you get a list of your T&E projects. And you're able to select items to download into Build and Operate or transfer over to Build and Operate. You'll notice anybody who knows this process knows this is a different screen. This screen allows us to either retain all of the folders and structure that you've created in Takeoff and Estimate and just transfer those directly over in the existing folders today. It will also help us to remove or help us to allow you to move the information in kind of one fell swoop, regardless of if you're putting it all in the same folder or in different folders, or if you're uploading some as drawings and some as documents. This new process will greatly enhance that. So instead of maybe bringing over your architectural and then your structural and your electrical, instead, we're going to be able to do it all at once. After that, if you know our interface, you have a chance to adjust your drawings, make sure that the titles and all of that line up to exactly what you want in the field. And then now you would see under that status column, you would see that that drawing has takeoffs. You would also see it when viewing it in the web viewer. I'm going to switch over to mobile here, and you'll see that we've got that little takeoff icon here as well. This lets the field team know which drawings have takeoffs on them. And then when you go to open those drawings, you're going to see the takeoffs exactly how you see them in Takeoff and Estimate. We're going to be matching colors. We'll be matching all of the different icon types that they, like the count icons that they support, the different hatch patterns, things like that. We'll be able to show that the same way that you see it today in T&E. Here's one of the most important things. This screen looks so small, there's not much to it, but this is pretty important for those of you that have used this in the past. We're putting it all on an individual layer. So this is going to allow you to hide the information before it was stamped into the drawings. So now you'll be able to hide the information. I'm going to show you this next screen as well. You'll have the ability as well, there's that little lock icon that gives you the ability to just kind of lock it to this revision. Or if you want, you can carry this layer forward into future revisions if you'd like to compare and contrast kind of what areas look different today. You've got that ability as well. This will automatically be available to anybody who is a power collaborator and above, kind of our supers and above. But then they can also share this layer with anybody they want. So you'll see that little group column there allows you to just select individual people if you'd like to share that with more people on your team. This next screen shows you how you'll be able to filter that information. So it'll come in all on one layer, but then you can also fine tune what you want to see based on these filters. You can hide all the annotations. So we'll be bringing over clouds, leaders with text, all of that information as well. You can hide all of those if you want. Takeoffs, you'll be able to hide individual takeoffs. So just look at the walls or just look at the paint or whatever. And we'll also be supporting labels and tags. So that's really important for those of you that use those a lot. You put a lot of great information in there. So we wanted to retain those in the field as well. So that's kind of a beginning look at what our first release might look like. We're working towards that today, but I also wanted to show you a few other things that we expect to enhance with further on. And that is, here you can see that we've got a very similar hover information as to what you have in takeoff and estimate today. So this provides the field team even more information on those individual items. They can see their tags and labels. They can also see heights, drop heights, if you're doing a drop, and that type of information as well. We're also looking at adding a kind of that button down at the bottom where it talks about items and assemblies. And if you click on that, you'll be able to see that individual walls, items and assemblies. So if you're in the field and you know, hey, I'm going to build this right now, I need to go to the staging area, pick up some materials. This would be a great, just a quick list, gives you an idea of what was anticipated to go into that wall. And then also we're going to provide that on a full sheet basis. So you can see the button at the top, view takeoff details. This will also respond to that filtering I just showed you. So if you filter down to just certain takeoffs, it's going to show you that in this assembly dialog box. So this gives you an idea of maybe I've filtered down and I just want to see all the walls. I'm framing all of these walls on this floor today. And here's the cumulative information that I have for those items. So all in all, this is intended to carry forth all of that information that you guys have put, all of that planning, all the thought that you guys have put into the estimates for your projects, carry that information to the field. So this QR code, please snap this with your camera and go fill out the survey. So we've put together a survey that kind of itemizes all of the different things that I just showed you and a few other items as well. And we'd like to get your feedback for your company. If we can understand which pieces and parts of what I just showed you are most important to your company, that greatly helps me to prioritize to make sure that we're doing the right things first. So please take the time. It's only I think it's like a 5-minute survey, or 8 minutes is the average. So please just take a little bit of time and give us some feedback, because this will actually impact what we build for you moving forward. All right, awesome. I think that's everything from the build and operate side. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan with takeoff and estimate.
Hey, thanks, Allison. Appreciate that handoff. So let me kind of jump in and talk about what's going on in the takeoff and estimating space. So a lot of what we worked on this quarter is centered around creating the project story. And I'll jump into the workflow here in just a minute, but really the focus is helping you create and organize and pass the information about this project from beginning to end, right? Really helping you create that story for your customers. So with that, on the takeoff side, we've done a little bit of work here on the library side, as well as takeoff list and a legend refresh. So first up, we have auto create takeoffs with items and assemblies. So you can actually create takeoffs directly from any items or assemblies that you have in each of your libraries. And again, I'll show you how that works here in just a minute. Coming Tuesday, we will have manual sorting over on the takeoff list. So you can actually move these takeoffs around and put them in the order that you wish, rather than an alphanumeric sort. And then last but not least, we updated our legend just a little bit to kind of help utilize that space a little bit more, get some more information on that legend, because we know real estate is at a prime with these sheets. So with that, let me jump over to Stack, and let me kind of show you how this all fits into your workflow. So as you can see, I'm in here in the project, good old faithful credit union. And you're kind of joining me towards the end of the project here. I've done a lot of work with measuring walls and doors and the like. And first, what I want to show is the drawing from your library. So as I'm looking at this project, I realize I kind of forgot blocking. I see I got some bars here in the bathroom, some fixtures here in the bathroom. I almost forgot the blocking. So I'm going to switch over to the library tab, and I'm just going to go ahead and search for the word blocking, because I know I have an assembly called blocking. And what it's going to do, it's going to search through any of your takeoffs in this library, any items that you have, as well as any assemblies. And right down here, that's the one I'm looking for, solid blocking 2x6. So I'm going to click the 3 dots here, and I'm going to say, go ahead and create a linear takeoff for me. And that's going to create a takeoff called solid blocking 2x6 linear. From here, since it's an assembly, I just have to type in the information that I need. Say stud spacing there. Based on the blocking runs, we'll say 1. And then let's go ahead and pick some 10 footers just to make it easier for me. So I'm going to hit save. And then from here, all I have to do is draw. I got some there. Looks like I got some over there, some over there. And then let me go back to the takeoff settings real quick. Let me change that to red, make it a little bit easier to see. So as you can see, we created that takeoff named exactly for that item for that assembly. And that helps make sure that you get the right information over on the project. Next up, if we go back to your takeoff list, now we want to make sure that blocking is within this context here, right? So again, I'm just going to quickly search for blocking. There it is down there. I'm going to assign it to that CS division. This is one of our tags. And again, in the future, that's going to carry over to our B&O friends. So now we have solid blocking up here. And as I'm looking at this list, it's not quite in the order that I was hoping for. Because realistically, I'm going to start with the exterior, and then I'm going to work on the interior, and eventually the blocking is going to be probably one of the closer towards the end. So what we can do here on Tuesday is we're going to have this little icon up top here. And right now we're sorting the takeoff list alphanumerically, but if I click on that, you'll see I now have grab handles next to those. And all I have to do is move things around as I see fit. So solid blocking was up there. I'm going to move it down here. Let's see, we'll probably do W6 along with W1, then probably move into that W5. And so I'm going to kind of move things around within that group. I won't be able to move things across group just yet, but I can also, if I ungroup, I can order the list here, and that order will then be applied to the group. Now, it's not just stopping there. Over here on the takeoff list, we realize that's great, but that also needs to carry over to the estimate. So as we come over here to the worksheet, I'm giving it just a second to load, you'll see now that my takeoffs are organized in the way that order was. So there's my exterior walls, W1, W6, W5, so on and so forth. So once I export this, or once I finish up my estimating, maybe update some quantities, update some cost, I'll be able to export via CSV or Excel format. And I will get that same order that I just created from before. We're still working on the proposal side, so hang on for that one, but you can at least get that order via CSV or the full Excel file. And then last but not least, I did mention an update to Legends. So over here on the side is our new look for our Legends. So what we did is we've kind of condensed the columns so that the takeoff name basically gets more space. That means that you can actually create appropriate size legends now. You still have control as far as the sizing, as far as the placement. There's no changes there. We just kind of utilize that space a little bit better. One thing that you will notice is that the legend will also respond to that order. So as I move things around, that legend is going to automatically update as well. So everything stays in sync. All right. So that's it for the takeoff side. Let me continue on to estimates. Now, David normally would be the one to take over estimates. He's out having an adventure with customer meetings. So he asked me to fill in here. So quick updates here on the estimate side. We now offer estimate notes. And David has a pre-recorded video we can watch here in just a second to talk about that. We're going to be tracking differences in company standards. So anytime that you change a value over on the estimate sheet that is different than the default for that item, we're going to go ahead and bold that for you to make it a little bit more obvious to what's going on. And then we had some Excel-based improvements as well in the proposal related to cost types. So without further ado, let me hand it over to pre-recorded David.
David here. Well, sort of. Really sorry I couldn't be there in person. So I've left you as a proxy this 4-minute video to show you what we've been up to in estimating. Now, I got to start by saying we've done a lot of really cool and exciting stuff that's coming out very soon. So we'll show you that a little bit later in the webinar. So pin that. For now, let's take a look at what we've released this quarter. First off, you can now capture general notes about your estimate. Simply click this icon and type away. Next, we've made some nice visual improvements to the numbers in our worksheet. Let me show you what I mean. Here I've got an estimate with 2 takeoffs, 1 item attached to each. I just got a quote from our supplier, so I'm going to change the unit cost of the rolls of carpet to $4.25. Check that out. It turns bold to let me know visually that this unit cost no longer matches my company standard in the library. I'll change the cost for boxes of VCT to 55, and it goes bold too. Now, if I change the carpet back to the original 400, it unbolds, so I know I'm matching my company standard again. For the VCT, I'll use the handy Reset Unit Costs to change it back. Again, it unbolds. Now, I've got 2 phases on this job, and I'm expecting prices to go up by the time we get to phase 2. So first, I'll unroll by phase, then turn on the phase column, which is a label in stack, and now change the unit cost for phase 2. Notice phase 1 is unbold and phase 2 is bold. While I'm here, I'm going to also round up the purchase quantities because I can't buy fractions of a box or roll for either phase. Notice the coverage rate changes accordingly and is now bold to show that this rate no longer matches the default in our company standard. Now here's where it gets even more fun. When I roll back up, we no longer show varies, since the unit costs and rates vary by phase. We give you an effective unit cost and an effective rate, and this is noted visually with an asterisk. And finally, we've improved our estimate worksheet proposal in several ways. First off, you can now group by cost type for both summary and line item details. Next, notice this toggle to include takeoff descriptions as attachment. I'll explain this in just a moment. For now, let's turn it on and go ahead and generate the proposal. Now here we are in the Excel file. I'll print this to PDF and we'll review that. Okay. First, we've added the date both here and in the footers of all pages. Also, notice that the order of the sections has changed. We put the scope of work first, followed by the summary subtotals, then the terms and conditions. Notice here the attachments list. Let's check those out. Remember that new toggle? When that's on, a separate page is generated with a list of takeoffs and their descriptions. Finally, in the line item details attachment, we've provided better visual formatting for groupings and headers. Thanks for indulging in this pre-recorded video, folks. I promise to be back in person next quarter.
Thank you, David. And up next is going to be for our integrations, Miles.
Excellent. Thanks, Ryan. For integrations, we will go ahead and move here to the next slide. We announced and have launched 2 integrations related to Acumatica. One is being able to create a project from Acumatica, so the ability to import that project that is within Acumatica. Also an opportunity, so if you're still within the sales pipeline, you can still bring that into Stack as well. Post that project being there, we have also added the capability to export your estimate into Acumatica as a project or sales quote. So with that, I will go ahead and share my screen and do a live demo of this. here we are. So here I am in projects, and in the project page, there's a drop down that you can click on. And in here, once you've added Acumatica as an integration, you can then have this option available to you within the project page. And once I click on this, you'll notice that there are two different areas, one for projects, one for opportunities. If you have an abundant amount of projects in here, we will load a number of them up front for you. If you don't see them, you can also search and we will be able to bring that up. So just to kind of give you that result, this was the first one that was on that list. But if I click this and I click import, we will then take you directly to the home page of the project details section. So in here, you'll notice that we've also hyperlinked the project from Acumatica. And if you scroll, you'll notice that we've also filled in some of the details related to Acumatica. Great. So now let's say we've looked at being able to import the project. Now we're way past this initial project phase. We've gone through and added all of our takeoffs and gone through the estimation process. Now the next step is how do we do the actual export? So before we get there, the first thing that we're going to want to do is, as a part of enabling Acumatica, once you've connected through your credentials, you'll click on configure here, and this is that first question you might think of how do Stacks cost types map to Acumatica? And so in here, you will provide what that mapping is, so that way when we, at the time of the export, we know exactly how to produce those line items. And so once this is completed, and I go to my estimate, you will notice that on those three dots at the top right, there's an export button, and I click on Acumatica. It's now going to ask me, great, do you want a project quote or sales quote? How do I want to export that estimate? Once I've completed that, it will also ask you which stack tag that you want to map to Acumatica as well. So that way the reporting or the structure of that estimate is looking accurate within Acumatica. And here we will pull in all of the opportunities or projects. Once I've clicked that, I'll click on export. It'll take a few moments here to actually export. Okay, and while this is loading, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let me. I'm going to show you two different areas, and we're in a test environment. So of course this happens during the webinar, but let me show you two different scenarios of how this export will work. So one, I've just created a line item freeform in here, and when I go to export, you'll notice that before we do the actual export, we're going to do a validation on the data that we're sending to Acumatica before we do. And you'll notice that just, I added that line item. We're going to warn you and let you know that, hey, this doesn't have an item number. And so that'll be your cue to go in there and add that item number in libraries. And once I've fixed that, I will just give you a view of what that export would look like coming in here. So if I go into this project quote space, you'll notice that this new line item is here and available. We've then populated all of the details related to the estimate within Acumatica. So with that said, Ryan, I will turn it back over to you.
Great, thanks, Miles. And that kind of completes that whole creating the project story, right? So we're able to actually pull things from Acumatica, go ahead and measure those takeoffs, get that estimate set up, and then push it straight back to Acumatica. That's a great enhancement there. All right, so what's coming up? Over in the takeoff space, we're going to kind of pivot to kind of support Allison and the B&O side, make sure all that beautiful, beautiful data gets over to there. So first and foremost, we're going to be making some enhancements to our count symbols and offering even more count symbols than the 5 that you have today. Figure we'll bump it up to 6, right? I think that should be enough. Now we're going to actually give you a whole ton of different symbols there. So keep your eye out for that. We just started work on that, so stay tuned for more. We're also taking a look at our keyboard shortcuts. One thing that we realize is, keyboard shortcuts are a really great accelerator for the takeoff side, but they're kind of hard to find. Unless you know where to look, you don't really know that they exist. So we're going to be making some improvements to make them a little bit more obvious and also expand some of the keyboard shortcuts that we offer. Alongside the legend, we're also taking a good hard look at our dimension line to kind of clean that up. If you've seen it today, you know about the big old blue blob, so we're going to correct that as well. And then we're also going to be some, not me specifically, Miles and team is going to be spending some time on continuing on the library management side. So you saw that first piece over in the libraries tab, having access to items and assemblies. There's a lot more to do over there. So Miles and team is going to be hard at work there. Over on the estimating side, we're going to kind of start working, I don't really want to say this. Today, the workflow is entirely dependent on takeoffs. So you have to create takeoffs, you have to measure before you can actually get to the estimate. And one thing that we've heard is that's not really a workflow for everybody. Sometimes you have the data that you already need, you just want to create the estimate and get going. So we're going to have some work over here on the estimate side to kind of support that workflow. So estimating without measuring. So you still create your takeoffs and then just go ahead and jump straight over to the estimate. Adding the other cost templates. So over on the estimate side, there's a section down below where you can add in like overhead and profit and tax. So we're going to templatize that, make your life a lot easier there. And then of course, being able to add takeoffs, items, and assemblies directly to the estimate, because why not? You can do everything on the takeoff side. Let's make sure you can do it on the estimate side. So to kind of give you a quick preview on the estimate without measuring, David has another video for you. One moment.
Imagine if you could estimate in Stack without any drawings. Did I pique your interest? Because this is what I was hinting at earlier in the webinar. Let me show you. You set up your conditions along with items categorized as you normally do. But instead of actually measuring on drawings, you just go straight to the estimate and type in the measured quantities. Want to see a quick demo? Let's do it. Here I'm in a project with no drawings. I've set up one condition with a couple of items attached. I now go straight to the estimate and start typing in the square feet and linear feet for the flooring tile and vinyl base. The boxes of tile and rolls of base are calculated. My default unit cost supplied, and in seconds, I have a selling price. That's Stack estimating without drawings. Releasing soon. Stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And then Miles, back to you to kind of tell us what's going on with integrations. Oh, looks like you're muted, Miles.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
What's on deck for integrations? We have 3 different items that the team is working through to help bring more benefit. So one of them is a GMS partnership and integration. So if you are a customer who leverages or works and partners with GMS, we are going to provide the ability for you to be able to export your item quantity report and retrieve an automatic emailed quote directly from GMS. So save you a little bit of time of having to do that offline. In addition, we are also working on a Sage Intacct integration as well. So the demo that I just provided around Acumatica, we are doing a very similar integration across both abilities of being able to import a project from Sage Intacct, and as well as being able to export an estimate into Sage Intacct as a project estimate. The third, but not least, for any customers that are leveraging any of our public-facing APIs, we are now enhancing the library takeoff API that will allow you to create library takeoffs for any net new projects. So that way they're predefined and you don't have to go in there and add them manually. So with that said, that completes it for integrations. I'm going to turn it back over to Brian.
All right, thanks team. As you can see, our product, let me move this on. Our product design and development teams are really busy bringing enhanced capabilities that increase the value you get from Stack by helping you do your job more efficiently and with high quality. We actually now have a little bit of time to answer a few questions from the chat. So I'm going to switch over and see if I can, if you have any questions, go ahead and add them in. I know that some of you have been asking along the way. So let's see what we can do. So first question, will we ever be able to export an estimate into a Google Sheets doc? It's a great question. I don't necessarily have the answer for you yet, but with David out, we will add this in. After this webinar, or after this section, I'm going to show you a section where you can go in and add enhancement requests. And so I would request, I guess, that you add that into there, and we will we'll take it up with David. Next, will the manual sort order carry into reports? Right.
That sounds like a question for me.
It is.
We did prioritize the estimate worksheet specifically to kind of complete the workflow. As of right now, I'm kind of holding off on reports to kind of hear what's kind of needed there. So again, let me kind of share my screen here really quick to kind of show you the best way to get the information. So again, on the estimate worksheet, all you have to do is create a new worksheet. Let me kind of start back here at the beginning. So make sure you create one of the new estimate worksheets. And then once you have everything sorted here on the estimate worksheet, remember, you're more than welcome to kind of clean up this view, get rid of columns that you don't need, add columns that you need, group it however you want, all that fun stuff. And just to save yourself the hassle, go ahead and save it as a view as well, just to make your life a lot easier, especially if it's at the same format that you want. From there, once you kind of fine tune the numbers that you have here, just go to export, either CSV or XLS, and it'll populate that order in that capacity. So to answer your question, no, not reports yet, but I'd be interested to know if there's any other gaps that the estimate worksheet doesn't provide that you can do on the report. So go ahead and submit that feature request when you get there.
And Ryan, while you're here, we had another question come in. How did you create a legend?
Sorry about that. I jumped right over that. So let me jump back over here. Over here on the right toolbar, let me take an even step back. Make sure that you have a page open here in Stack. So if you're traditionally over here on the overview tab, just go ahead and click on any of these sheets there. And then you'll notice over here on the right toolbar, this is where a lot of your drawing tools and editing tools will live. We have an annotation section, third option here, and then legends is down here at the bottom. To create a legend, all you have to do is just click once up top here, double click on the bottom, and there it is. Before you actually draw the legend, just make sure that you adjust any of that sizing settings. If not, just go ahead and get back into single select by either going here, edit single select, or E on your keyboard. You can click on that legend and then kind of adjust its settings there. Couple things to note, you can click the drag handles, obviously, to resize. Let me zoom in there. You can obviously adjust the size of the text, and you still have the ability to turn the quantities on and off. Common question we usually get with the legend is what data is it showing? It's showing all of the quantities for the takeoffs on this sheet specifically. And Brian, back to you.
All right, thank you for that. We had another question come in. Is this webinar going to be available post this session for others to watch? And the answer is yes. This will be sent out after the recording is complete. An email will go to you with not only the recording, but any of the links that we shared in here, like the survey that Allison showed earlier, the links to add enhancement requests, et cetera, will all be part of that email that comes after this. All right. Can we paste screenshots in the estimate notes? I believe in the first iteration of this, the answer to that is no, but that is an excellent request. And again, you can add that in after the fact here. Can we hold the seminar in Spanish? The information is very interesting. It's a good question. Actually, that's something that when we do a post-mortem on this call, we'll review all the requests that we get, and that's a very good request. We'll see what we can do about seeing if we can have it translated, at least from a transcript perspective. Let's see. Next up, is the notes section available in the material and labor estimate? And the answer to that is no. We're doing, just be very candid, we are putting our investment over in on the new estimate worksheet side, so that everything that you do that's in those other estimate types, you are going to be able to do everything within the new estimate. And we're actually pretty close to that. So you're going to see all the new innovation and enhancements likely going into that area. So feel free to continue to, if there's anything there that you think we need to continue to add, again, please share that with us. Let's see. Can you expand? Let's see. Some of these are just not questions, but just comments. Will we be able to upload CAD files and or make revisions for as builds? As of right now, maybe I'll bring Ryan back in to kind of talk about where we are with that today. You are on mute.
Thank you. I even got the little notification down here saying I'm muted. Do that every time. So as of right now, no, I don't have any plans to work with CAD files directly, but I'd be really curious to know how many of you out there are working with CAD files. And especially when you say make revisions for as builds, I'd really like to dig into that scenario. So on the next slide that comes up, again, you're going to get that QR code for our to request for enhancements. Go ahead and submit your idea, and I'll likely reach out to you here to kind of talk about that.
There's another question here from Nicole, and I'm not really sure who exactly to direct this to, but is there a way to have the field crew using this? I'm not sure what this is, which piece of it. Is there an app our foreman could get? The good news is, and maybe this is where Allison, you can come in, when we're talking about the connection that Allison showed between takeoff and estimate and build and operate, that they do have apps that are available out in the field. You want to kind of elaborate on that, Allison?
Absolutely. So that's what Build and Operate is all about, is helping your field team make sure that their crew has the most updated drawings, that you guys have the ability to collaborate on those drawings. So once the pre-construction phase is complete and you're ready to roll into construction, and by the way, if you answer the survey and you want to talk to us about your handoff process, I would love to talk to you. But that Build and Operate then can make all of the plans available to your field team. And we have apps. We've got Android, our iPad, our iOS app is the most robust, especially on an iPad. It's super handy to use in the field. We also have a Windows app. All of those apps run offline as well. So if you have tricky Wi-Fi on site, you're not going to lose data. And it's seamless. You just roam off and roam back on, and it updates for you, and off you go. So absolutely, Build and Operate might be a great match for you.
All right. Looks like the survey just got brought back up. All right.
Oh, yes. Awesome. This is the survey I was talking about. Please, everybody, take this. I would love to hear your feedback, positive or negative. I'm all ears.
Awesome. Let's see. I know there are like tons of questions coming in. I know we're not going to be able to get to all of them. So please note, we're going to review, and maybe we can do send out an FAQ or kind of a recap of the Q&A after the fact. And we may, because we have your names, reach back out to you if we have any additional questions. But again, anything that you're asking in here, I would also encourage you to add in the links that we're going to put up here in just a minute, and that'll make sure that we capture all the right detail, and we can get we can respond to you in a better manner. Let me go through and see. there's anything more. Where was the estimate notes widget? Ryan, do you still have that up?
I sure do. One moment. I see there's another question here in the same spot, so I'll answer that one too.
Okay, cool.
So when you go to the new estimate worksheet down here at the bottom, next to define scope, you'll see this little notes icon. If you click on that, that's where you can kind of keep a working list of those notes. So just click on that, go ahead and type away, make sure you hit save so that it saves, and then it'll automatically close there. Now this is going to be per estimate specific. So if you're working with a project that requires multiple estimates, you can kind of have special notes for each of those estimates. And then I saw another question on being able to round up the quantity on the estimate worksheet. So you're probably curious to, probably interested in adjusting this purchase quantity. So this is post all of your calculations, post all of your waste calculations, right? So all you have to do is come up here. There's this little tiny triangle right up top here next to the purchase quantity name. If you click on that, you have the option here to round up every single quantity in this column. If that's not your flavor, you can certainly go one by one and round them up. Or if you have any groupings to that effect, you can also round up those groupings. So you have a couple of different ways to round it up depending on what it is that you're trying to round up. And then I think there was another question about what else might be out there for other costs. I'm not quite sure all of the details. I know that the plan is to kind of templatize this to make it a little bit easier for you. So if you have different things like indirect costs or contingencies, standard costs are going to carry over from project to project. Just being able to quickly apply those is kind of is the main goal there. But more to come. Brian?
Thanks, Ryan. I think with that, and do you know, Ryan, I should know this, but I don't. Do the estimate notes show on the proposal? I believe there is an option.
To my knowledge, no. They are specific to the estimate worksheet, so they will not carry over to the proposal. I know that there is a notes field. There's an actual notes column on the estimate worksheet.
Yeah, there are notes on a line item basis. Yep.
Yeah. I'm second guessing myself. I don't remember.
We'll follow up with you on that one. All right. I think with that, we're getting to the time where we've got a few additional things that we want to share before we close out. Again, I thank you for the questions. I'll go back through here and see if there's anything that we missed. If we did, then we'll try to put it in that recap. And what I was referring to earlier, we are excited to kind of continue the innovating and bring you the best products on the market, but we can't do it without you. So if you do have great ideas you want to share with us, please scan one of these QR codes and it comes direct to us. We can go in and we can review it. It also, you have opportunities to go in and vote on other ideas. So please take advantage of that. And then finally, there's a lot of great questions in here that can be and are answered in a lot of our help resources that we have. So I just want to remind you that we do have all this available within Stack. Please take advantage of all the opportunities we put in there. Hopefully you learned something new to take back and implement in your day-to-day. Again, watch for the email that will come that will have the video. You can go back and rewatch this. But thank you so much for investing so much time with us today. We look forward to hearing from you going forward. Thanks.